The radio's been cutting out all morning. Static bursts every 12 minutes. Then Kelly's voice from the ranger station. Broken, coming through in pieces. Something about trail closures. Something about hikers still out on the Timberline Loop. I keep the Ford Ranger idling at the old Salmon Trailhead because the battery's been weak since March, and I can't afford to replace it until next paycheck. The Park Service doesn't reimburse for vehicle maintenance. We're supposed to use the fleet trucks, but those are for the senior rangers, the ones who've been here longer than 5 years. I've got 3 years and 2 months. Mist thick today. Typical for October in the Cascades, but this is denser than usual. You can see maybe 15 feet before everything goes gray-white. The Douglas firs look like they're dissolving into nothing. My daughter Maya says the fog here looks like ghosts. She's 7. Stays with her mom in Portland most weeks. Stays with me every other weekend in the Ranger housing up by Cougar Ridge. She was supposed to come up yesterday, but Jennifer canceled last minute. Something about Maya having a cough. Jennifer always does that. Finds a reason to keep her in the city when it's my weekend. Unit 7, this is base. Do you copy? Kelly's voice punches through the static. I grab the handset, hit transmit. Unit 7. I copy. What's the status on those hikers? Static. Then, permit says party of 6. Scheduled return was yesterday at more static. Haven't checked back in. Could be they're just... The signal dies completely. I try twice more. Nothing. The radio just hisses at me. 6 hikers. Permit says party of 6. I pull up the log on my tablet. The Park Service finally upgraded us from paper last year, but the tablets are refurbished iPads from 2018 and the cellular coverage out here is a joke. The permit loaded at the station before I left. Timberline Loop, 42 miles, 4 days, 3 nights. Party leader is Marcus Webb, age 41, Seattle address. Emergency contact is his wife. I don't read the other names yet because Kelly said something else, something about trail closures, but the transmission cut before I caught it. The trail closure list is 3 months out of date on my tablet. That's normal. The Park Service website updates in real time, but the tablets sync whenever they feel like it. Usually I just check the physical postings at trailheads, but the Timberline Loop has 4 access points and I'd need to drive to all of them. Takes 6 hours minimum. I've got maybe 4 hours of daylight left and the mist is only getting thicker. I put the Ford in gear and start up the service road toward the Timberline's eastern access. The road's not on maps, just fire service and ranger use, but it cuts 20 minutes off the drive. Gravel pings against the undercarriage. I'm thinking about Marcus Webb and his party of 6, wondering if they're just running late because someone twisted an ankle or they're moving slower than expected. Happens all the time. People from Seattle, they look at a topographic map and think 42 miles over 4 days is reasonable. They don't account for the elevation changes. The Timberline Loop gains and loses about 9,000 feet total. Your knees are screaming by day 3. My knees are screaming right now and I'm just sitting in the truck. The service road ends at a locked gate. I've got the key, all rangers do, but when I get out to unlock it, I notice something on the ground by the gate post. Mushrooms. Chanterelles probably, except they're not the right color. Chanterelles are golden orange. These are pale, almost white, and they're growing in a pattern that makes no sense. Perfect circle, maybe 4 feet across, right where the service road meets the trail access. I'm not a mycologist. The Park Service brought one up here 2 years ago for a survey. Dr. Sarah Shaw, real nice, explained the difference between saprophytic and mycorrhizal fungi while we hiked up to Cougar Lake, but I don't remember enough to identify anything beyond the basic edibles. These pale mushrooms don't look like anything I've seen before. They've got this texture that's wrong. Smooth, almost waxy, and when I crouch down to look closer, I see they're not just growing around the gate. They're growing through the chain link fence. The caps are on one side, the stems on the other, like they grew straight through the metal. That's not possible. I touch one. I shouldn't. Park Service rules say don't disturb anything without documentation, but I touch it anyway. The cap's surface is cold, colder than air temperature, and slightly damp, but not from the mist. It's like the mushroom is sweating. My radio crackles. Unit 7, respond immediately. I drop the mushroom, wipe my hand on my uniform pants, grab the radio from my belt. Unit 7, I'm at Eastern Access. Those hikers. Do not proceed to Timberline Loop. Repeat, do not. Static swallows Kelly's voice. Then, contamination, more static. Turn back to station immediately. Contamination. She said contamination. I look at the pale mushrooms growing through the chain link fence. At the perfect circle they form around the gate. At my hand, the one that touched the cap, and I'm rubbing it against my pants again. Harder, even though nothing's visible on my skin. Just sweat. My sweat. Normal sweat. The radio's dead again. I hit transmit 3 times. Get nothing but static. 6 hikers. Party of 6. Marcus Webb from Seattle and 5 others whose names I haven't read. They're somewhere on the Timberline Loop. Their scheduled return was yesterday. Kelly said contamination. Kelly said turn back to station immediately. I look at the gate, at the trail beyond it disappearing into the mist, at my Ford Ranger idling behind me with its weak battery. I unlock the gate. This is stupid. This is the kind of decision they fire Rangers for. Kelly said turn back. She said contamination. But there are 6 hikers out there, and I know the Timberline Loop better than anyone else on staff. I've hiked it maybe 30 times. I know where the water sources are, where people usually camp, where someone with a twisted ankle would hunker down to wait for help. If something's wrong, if there's contamination, whatever that means, then those hikers need someone who knows the terrain. I drive through the gate, leave it unlocked behind me. The service road continues another mile before it dead ends at the trailhead proper. The mist is so thick now I've got my headlights on even though it's only 2 in the afternoon. The beams just reflect back white, make it harder to see. I turn them off, navigate by the road's edges. Something moves in the trees to my left. I brake. The Ford skids slightly on wet gravel, stops. Nothing moves now. Just trees and mist. Douglas fir, western hemlock, a few cedars. Normal forest. Normal October afternoon in the Cascades. The mist makes everything look like motion, like the trees are swaying even when there's no wind. But I saw something. I'm sure I saw something. I put the truck back in gear, keep driving, watch the tree line on both sides. There, again, movement. On the right this time. I brake harder. The Ford stops. I grab my mag light from the door pocket. 60 cells, weighs about 3 pounds, doubles as a weapon if you need it to, and get out. The door chime dings. I leave the engine running because of the battery. Park service, I call out. My voice sounds wrong in the mist, muffled. If someone's out there, identify yourself. Nothing. I point the mag light at where I saw movement. The beam cuts through the mist maybe 20 feet before scattering into nothing. Trees, undergrowth, sword ferns and salal. A fallen log covered in moss. Normal. Then I see them. Mushrooms. The same pale, waxy mushrooms from the gate. They're growing on the fallen log, dozens of them, clustered so thick they look like they're replacing the wood itself. And they're glowing. Not bright, not like bioluminescence, but there's a faint luminescence to them, visible in the maglight's beam, like they're reflecting light that isn't there. I move closer. I shouldn't. Kelly said contamination. Kelly said turn back. But I'm already here and I need to know what this is. The mushrooms are growing in a pattern. Not random. They're following the grain of the wood, spreading along the log's length, and where they're thickest the wood underneath looks different. Softer. The bark's texture is changing, becoming smoother, more like the mushroom caps themselves. One of the caps moves. No, Not moves, breathes. The surface of the cap rises and falls very slightly, like there's something underneath it, like something's inhaling and exhaling. I step back. My boot comes down on something soft and it makes a sound, wet, crunching, and I look down and see I've stepped on another cluster of the pale mushrooms. They've split open, and inside them, instead of normal fungal flesh, there's something red, organic. It looks like muscle tissue. I'm back at the truck. I don't remember moving, but I'm at the truck, door open, one hand on the frame. My other hand still holds the mag light and the beam's shaking because my hand's shaking. The radio crackles. 7. If you can hear this, do not approach anyone showing static. Respiratory symptoms, repeat, do not, static. Airborne transmission confirmed. Airborne transmission. I look at the mist, at the air I've been breathing for the last 20 minutes, at my hand, the one that touched the mushroom at the gate. 6 hikers, party of 6, somewhere on the Timberline Loop. If there's airborne transmission, if Kelly's trying to tell me there's some kind of outbreak, then those hikers are in the middle of it. I get in the truck, close the door, lock it. The door locks won't help against airborne transmission, but I lock them anyway. My hands are still shaking. I grip the steering wheel to make them stop. The trailhead's a quarter mile ahead. I can see the parking area through the mist. Empty, no vehicles, and the trail sign marking the start of the Timberline Loop. There's a permit box there, weatherproof metal container where hikers are supposed to self-register. Marcus Webb's permit will be in there, along with the permits for any other parties currently on the loop. I need to know how many people are out there. I drive to the parking area, park next to the trail sign. The permit box is locked, regulations, but I've got the key. My hand's steadier now, steadier enough. I unlock the box, pull out the permits. 3 parties. Marcus Webb's group of 6, scheduled return yesterday. A couple from Portland, scheduled return today. And a solo hiker, male, age 29, from Eugene, who started the loop this morning. 9 people total. 9 people on a 42-mile trail that's supposed to be closed because of contamination. My radio crackles again, but this time it's not Kelly's voice. The screaming. High-pitched, raw, cut through with static, but definitely screaming. A woman. Then a man's voice shouting, words I can't make out. Then the screaming again. Then nothing. I hit transmit. Base, this is Unit 7. I just heard, someone's in distress. I'm proceeding to, static. Then Kelly's voice, clearer than before. Unit 7, you are ordered to return to base immediately. The Timberline Loop is under quarantine. Federal authorities are en route. Do not. There are 9 hikers out there. 9 people. I'm the closest. Cole, listen to me. Kelly's using my first name. She never uses my first name. The spores they're not natural. They're changing people. We've had 3 rangers go in already and we lost contact with all of them. The last transmission. Her voice breaks. The last transmission was one of them describing how his partner was growing bark. Like tree bark, on his skin. Cole, you need to get out of there now. Growing bark. I look at my hand, the one that touched the mushroom. Normal skin, just skin. Slightly pale because I'm scared, but normal. How long? Ask. How long from exposure to symptoms? We don't know. Hours, maybe less. The Forestry Service says, Cole, this started 3 weeks ago. They've been keeping it quiet, trying to contain it, but it's spreading. The spores, they're not just in the air. They're in the trees now, in the soil. Anyone who breathes them, anyone who touches them. 3 weeks. They've known for 3 weeks and they kept the trails open. Marcus Webb's group started their hike 4 days ago. The couple from Portland, 3 days ago. The solo hiker from Eugene this morning. I touched them, I say. The mushrooms at the gate. I touched one. Silence. Then, get to the clinic in Salmon Creek. Dr. Martinez is setting up a decontamination protocol. You need to go now. The clinic's 40 minutes away. Maya's in Portland, 2 hours away. Jennifer won't let her come up here for months now, not after this. If I'm infected, if I'm growing bark like Kelly said, then I won't see my daughter again. Not before I turn into whatever those rangers turned into. 9 people on the Timberline Loop. 9 people who might still be alive. I grab my pack from the truck bed, emergency supplies, first aid kit, water filter, emergency beacon, and sling it over my shoulders. My handheld radio goes on my belt next to the park radio. I've got 2 radios, standard procedure in case one fails. Both are showing low battery. I should have charged them last night, but I was thinking about Maya, about how Jennifer canceled again, about how I'm a part-time father to a 7-year-old who thinks fog looks like ghosts. The trailhead sign says, Timberline Loop, 42 miles. Difficulty, strenuous. Someone's written something across it in black marker. Fresh, the ink still slightly wet. Don't breathe. I look at the mist, at the air, at the trail disappearing into white nothing. I start walking. The trail's obvious even in the mist. Dirt path worn down to exposed roots, marked with blue blazes on the trees every 100 feet. I've hiked this section maybe 40 times. Know every switchback, every stream crossing, every spot where people usually stop to rest. First landmark's a mile in. A standing dead hemlock, bark stripped, that looks like a giant bone sticking out of the forest floor. Local kids call it the ghost tree. Maya wanted to see it last time she was up here, but Jennifer said no. Said the forest was too dangerous for a 7-year-old. Turns out Jennifer was right. I'm breathing through my nose, shallow breaths like that'll make a difference if the spores are airborne. Kelly said respiratory symptoms. Kelly said don't approach anyone showing respiratory symptoms. I don't know what that means exactly. Coughing? Wheezing? Or something worse? The mist's so thick I'm using my mag light even though it's daylight. The beam catches something ahead on the trail. A backpack, bright blue propped against a tree. I approach slow, one hand on my radio. Hello? Park service. Anyone here? No response. The backpack's a Gregory Baltoro, 65-liter, expensive, $400 new. There's a name written on the registration tag in permanent marker. Marcus Webb. His permit listed him as party leader. Seattle address. Emergency contact. Wife. The pack's zipped closed. I open it. Sleeping bag, tent, camp stove, food bag, all normal. But the food bag feels wrong. I open it and the smell hits me immediately. Rot. Not normal food spoilage. Something organic and wrong. Like the smell of a dead animal that's been sitting in summer heat except it's October and cold. The food inside, trail mix, energy bars, dehydrated meals, is covered in fuzzy white growth. Mold except it's moving. The white fuzz ripples as I watch, spreading across a Cliff Bar wrapper, and I see tiny fruiting bodies forming. Mushrooms. The same pale, waxy mushrooms from the gate and the fallen log. Growing on packaged food, in a sealed stuff sack, inside a closed backpack. I drop the food bag, zip the pack closed, stand up too fast and feel lightheaded. Marcus Webb left his pack here. No hiker leaves their pack on trail unless something's wrong. You guard your pack like your life depends on it because out here it does. Food, shelter, water treatment, it's all in the pack. I key my radio. Base, this is Unit 7. I found a pack belonging to Marcus Webb, party leader for the group of 6. Pack's been abandoned on trail. Food inside shows fungal contamination. Requesting guidance. Static. Then Kelly's voice. Unit 7. Static. Evacuate immediately. Situation critical. More static. Forest Service has issued. The signal dies. I try 3 more times. Nothing. My handheld radio has a different frequency range. I switch it on, tuned to the emergency channel. Nothing but static there too. The mist's interfering with radio transmission, or the towers are down, or both. I'm on my own. No, not on my own. 9 people on this trail. Marcus Webb's pack is here, which means he's probably close by. The others, his 5 companions, the Portland couple, the solo hiker, could be anywhere along 42 miles of trail. I leave the pack where I found it, keep moving. The trail climbs here, switchbacks cutting up a ridge face. My legs remember the grade, the rhythm of it. Left foot, right foot, breathe. Except I'm still breathing shallow, through my nose, and it's not enough. I'm getting winded. The elevation's only 4,500 feet here. Not enough to cause altitude problems, but I can't get enough air. Respiratory symptoms. I stop, bend over, hands on knees, force myself to breathe normally. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again. My lungs feel fine, normal. No wheezing, no pain, no obstruction. I'm just panicking, that's all. Panic causes shallow breathing. I learned that in the first aid certification course. Control the breathing, control the panic. I count to 10. Breathe with each count. By 8, my heart rate's dropping. By 10, I'm almost calm. Something moves in the tree's upslope. I freeze. Bring up the mag light. The beam catches a shape between the firs, human-sized, standing motionless about 30 feet off trail. Hello. My voice is steadier than I expected. This is Park Service. Do you need assistance? The shape doesn't move, doesn't respond. I move closer, one hand on my radio. Sir or ma'am, can you hear me? Are you injured? Still nothing. 10 feet away now, the maglite beams strong enough to see clearly. The shape's a person. Male, maybe 6 feet tall, wearing a green fleece jacket and hiking pants. His back's to me. He's facing upslope, standing with one hand resting on a fir tree's trunk. Sir, I'm with the Park Service. Are you okay? He doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge me at all. I come around to his side, keep the maglite on him, and I see his face. His eyes are open, staring straight ahead. His mouth is slightly open too, jaw slack, and there's something white on his lips. Not foam, not saliva, fungal growth. The same pale, waxy texture as the mushrooms. It's growing from the corners of his mouth, spreading across his lower lip, and as I watch, I see it pulse slightly, growing, actively growing while I'm standing here. Sir, can you hear me? His eyes don't move, don't track me, but he's breathing. I can see his chest rising and falling. Slow breaths, very slow, like he's asleep standing up. I look at his hand, the one resting on the fir tree's trunk. His fingers are white, not pale white. The skin's changed color, changed texture, and where his palm meets the bark, I can't tell where his skin ends and the tree begins. They're fused. His hand is growing into the tree. No, the tree is growing into his hand. I step back. The maglite beam shakes again. I grip it with both hands to steady it. The man's eyes move, not tracking me, just moving. Slow, deliberate, like he's looking at something I can't see. His jaw moves too, opening wider, and from inside his mouth, I see pale white threads emerging. Not fungal growth. Roots, tiny roots, hair-like, extending from somewhere inside his throat. I run. Not back to the truck. Forward up the trail because something in my brain says there are other people who aren't like this yet, who might still be saved. I'm gasping now, breathing too hard, but I don't care about the spores anymore. I'm breathing whatever air I can get and running up slope, legs burning, pack bouncing against my back. The ghost tree appears through the mist, standing dead hemlock, bark stripped, bone white, except it's not bare anymore. The pale mushrooms are growing on it, covering it, Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, clustered so thick they look like scales. And at the base of the tree, sitting on the ground with their backs against the trunk, are two people. A man and a woman. The woman's wearing a purple jacket. The man's in red. Both have their eyes closed. Both are covered in the pale mushrooms. The growths are sprouting from their clothes, from their skin, from their hair. The woman's face is barely visible under the fungal mass. The man's hands are white, fingers elongated, root-like, digging into the soil. They're still breathing, both of them, slow, synchronized breaths. I key my radio with shaking hands. Base, this is Unit 7. I found multiple individuals showing. My voice breaks. They're alive. They're breathing, but there's extensive fungal growth. They're not responsive. I need medical evac immediately. Static. No Kelly. No response. Base, please respond. I need help. These people need help. Nothing. I look at the two people sitting against the ghost tree, at the mushrooms covering them, at their slow, synchronized breathing. I think about approaching them, checking vitals, attempting first aid. That's my job. That's what Rangers do. But Kelly said the last transmission from the Rangers who went in was one of them describing how his partner was growing bark. These people are past bark. I move away from the ghost tree, keep climbing. The trail levels out here, follows a ridgeline. Visibility's slightly better, maybe 20 feet instead of 15, and I can see the trail ahead switchbacking down into a valley. That's where the first campsite is. Timberline Camp 1, Mile 5, water source from a creek that runs year-round. If Marcus Webb's group was following their planned itinerary, they would have camped there night 1. I start down the switchbacks. My knees are screaming from the descent, same as I told myself earlier about hikers from Seattle. My knees specifically. Always my left knee worse than my right because I tore the meniscus 3 years ago and never got it properly repaired. Too expensive. The Park Service insurance doesn't cover pre-existing conditions, and I had the tear before I got hired. Something's wrong with my left hand. I look at it, the one that touched the mushroom at the gate. The skin on my palm looks normal, but it feels cold, colder than my right hand, and slightly stiff, like when your hands get too cold and the joints don't want to flex properly. I flex the fingers. They move, slowly, stiffly, but they move. Respiratory symptoms, Kelly said. She didn't say anything about cold hands. That's probably just poor circulation from the panic, from running uphill, from gripping the mag light too hard. I keep moving. Timberline Camp 1 is empty. No tents, no people, no packs. But the fire ring shows recent use. Ashes still gray, not fully weathered. Someone camped here within the last few days. I check the area around the fire ring, looking for anything left behind. Most campers are good about pack in, pack out, but there's usually something. A forgotten stuffed sack, a piece of trash that fell out of a pocket. I find a boot. Just one. Right foot. Men's size 11. Salomon brand. Good hiking boot, maybe a year old based on the tread wear. It's lying on its side near the fire ring, laces still tied. Like someone took it off and set it down and forgot about it. I pick it up. The inside of the boot is damp. I smell it without thinking. Stupid, probably contaminated, and immediately pull back. The smell's wrong. Not sweat, not the normal funk of a worn hiking boot. It's organic, earthy, like fresh mulch. And there's something inside the boot. Something white and fibrous growing from where the foot would rest. I drop the boot, wipe my hands on my pants even though I was wearing gloves. Wait, I'm not wearing gloves. I should be wearing gloves. Kelly said contamination. Kelly said airborne transmission. I should be wearing gloves and a mask and probably a full hazmat suit, but I'm just wearing my Ranger uniform, green canvas pants, and a khaki shirt with the Park Service logo on the pocket. My left hand is colder. Definitely colder. I flex the fingers again. They move, but it takes more effort than it should. The creek's running high from recent rain, clear water rushing over rocks. Normal creek, normal sound. I kneel beside it, cup water in my right hand. Not my left. I'm keeping my left hand away from things and drink. The water's cold and clean and tastes like nothing, the way good mountain water should taste. Something's in the creek upstream. Not in the creek. Growing from it. The pale mushrooms are sprouting from the rocks in the creek bed. Underwater, white caps just visible beneath the surface. And where they're thickest, the water looks different. Slightly cloudy, like there's sediment suspended in it, except the creek's supposed to be running clear. I spit out the water I just drank. Too late, but I spit anyway. Then I'm coughing, doubled over, hands on knees again. The cough's dry. Normal dry cough from breathing too hard while running. Not respiratory symptoms, just normal coughing. My radio crackles. Not Kelly's voice. A man's voice, broken by static. Anyone receiving. This is Webb, Marcus Webb. We're at Cougar Lake. Need help. Static. Can't stop the growth. More static. Please, if anyone. Cougar Lake. That's mile 15. 10 miles from where I'm standing. I key my radio. Marcus Webb, this is Park Ranger Cole Hendricks, Unit 7. I'm on the Timberline Loop. What's your status? Static. Then, Ranger, thank God we're. The signal fades. Sarah can't walk. Her legs. Static. Growing together. Marcus, how many in your party? How many are still mobile? 4 of us. Static. Lost 2. They're at the lake. They're part of the lake now. Part of the lake now. Marcus, I'm coming to you. Stay where you are. Keep everyone together. Do not drink the water. Do not touch any fungal growth. Do you understand? No response. Just static. I look at the trail ahead. 10 miles to Cougar Lake. The terrain's brutal, climbing 2,000 feet over the next 5 miles, then dropping into the lake basin. In good conditions with a light pack, I could do it in 4 hours. In mist this thick with failing light and whatever's happening to my left hand, maybe 6 hours. That puts me at Cougar Lake around 9 p.m. Full dark. No moon tonight because of cloud cover. For people still mobile out of Marcus Webb's party of 6. 2 lost. At the lake. Part of the lake now. I think about the man I found with his hand fused to the fir tree. About the 2 people sitting against the ghost tree with mushrooms sprouting from their skin. About the boot with fungal growth inside it. About my left hand, which is now so stiff I can barely flex the fingers. I start climbing toward Cougar Lake. My radio dies completely at mile 8. Just goes dead, no static, nothing. I switch to the handheld. It's got maybe 20% battery and no signal, but I keep it on anyway because silence is worse. The mist's thinning as I climb. Normal for this elevation, you break through the marine layer around 5,000 feet, and I can see further now. 30 feet, maybe 40. The trees are different here. Not Douglas fir anymore, mostly mountain hemlock and silver fir, and every single one of them has the pale mushrooms growing on their trunks. Not scattered, not occasional. Every tree, the mushrooms form vertical lines following the bark's grain, and where they're thickest, the bark itself looks wrong. Softer, organic, like it's transforming into something that's neither wood nor fungus. My left hand won't close anymore. The fingers are locked in a half-curled position and the skin's turned gray-white, same color as the mushrooms. I can still feel it, cold, stiff, but present, so the nerves are still working. That's something. But when I press my right thumb against my left palm, the sensation's wrong. Distant, like the touch is happening to someone else's hand. I'm thinking about Maya, about whether Jennifer will tell her what happened to me or if she'll just say I'm not coming back. End of story. Jennifer's good at end of story. When we divorced, she told Maya that Daddy was going to live in the mountains now, and that was that. No explanation about why, no discussion about the fights we had about money and my work schedule and how I was never home even when I was home. Just, Daddy lives in the mountains now. End of story. Maya asked me once why I couldn't live in Portland with them. I told her the forest needed me. She said the forest had lots of rangers. She said she needed me more. I didn't have a good answer for that. The trail crosses a scree field here, loose rock from an old rock slide, unstable footing, and I have to focus on every step. My left hand's useless for balance, so I'm hiking with my right hand on my trekking pole, left arm hanging at my side. The pole's doing all the work. My left knee's worse too, sharp pain with each downward step. Not supernatural, just my torn meniscus reminding me it exists. Someone's sitting on a boulder on the far side of the scree field. I stop, bring up the mag light with my right hand. The beam catches a person. Male, young, maybe late 20s, sitting slumped forward with his arms wrapped around his knees. He's wearing a gray jacket and a green beanie. Solo hiker from Eugene. Had to be. His permit said he started this morning. Hey, I call out. You okay? He doesn't move. I cross the scree field, careful on the loose rock. As I get closer, I see his pack still on his back. Good sign. Means he's still functional enough to keep his gear. But he's not moving at all, not even breathing motions that I can see. 20 feet away. 10 feet. Sir, I'm with Park Service. Can you hear me? He lifts his head, slowly, like it takes immense effort. His face is young, maybe 27, 28. His eyes are open but not focused. Not looking at me even though his head's turned in my direction. Hey, he says. His voice is rough, like he's been screaming. You're real, right? Not another. He doesn't finish. I'm real. Ranger Cole Hendricks. What's your name? Derek. Derek Simmons. From Eugene. He's still not looking at me directly. His eyes keep sliding past my face, focusing on something behind me. How long have I been sitting here? I don't know. When did you start the loop? This morning, 7 a.m. I logged in at the trailhead. He tries to stand, gets halfway up, sits back down. My legs don't work right. They feel heavy, like they're full of sand. I shine the mag light at his legs. His hiking pants are dark with moisture from the knees down. Not water, something else. The fabric's discolored, stained with pale streaks that look like the mycelium patterns I've seen on rotting wood. And his boots, both of them, not like the single boot I found at Camp 1. His boots are partially covered in the white fungal growth. Derek, when did you first notice the leg problems? Mile 4, maybe. I sat down to rest, and when I stood up, my right ankle felt wrong. Stiff. Then my left knee. Then, he looks down at his legs like he's seeing them for the first time. Oh no, what is that? Fungal contamination. The whole loop's infected. Did you drink any water? Touch any mushrooms? I filtered water from a creek at mile 3. I thought filtering would. His voice breaks. Am I going to die? I don't know how to answer that. Kelly said 3 rangers went in and they lost contact with all of them. Kelly said one was describing how his partner was growing bark. I've seen people standing motionless with their hands fused to trees. People sitting against the ghost tree with mushrooms sprouting from their skin. We're getting you out, I say instead, which is a lie. I can't carry him and he can't walk and there's no evac coming. But it's what you're supposed to say. It's what rangers say. I can't feel my feet, Derek says. I can feel my legs, sort of, but my feet are just gone. Like they've been amputated, but they're still attached. He laughs. It's a terrible sound. That doesn't make sense, does it? Can you stand? If I help you? He tries. I grab his arm with my right hand, not my left. My left won't grip, and pull. He gets to his feet, swaying, and takes one step before his right leg buckles. Catch him. He's lighter than he should be, not from being thin, from something else, like his mass is decreasing. "Leave me," he says. "I'm slowing you down. You're going for someone else, right? The group ahead of me? Marcus Webb's party. They're at Cougar Lake. Then go. I'll wait here. Maybe the Forest Service will send a helicopter." No helicopter's coming. We both know it. But I don't say that. "I'll come back for you," I say. Another lie. "Stay here. Don't move. Don't drink anything. Can't move even if I wanted to." He sits back down on the boulder. "Hey, Ranger, if you see my parents, Eugene Simmons' family on Oak Street, tell them I was trying to do the whole loop. Tell them I made it to, what mile is this? 8. Tell them I made it to mile 8. That's further than I thought I'd get." I leave him there. What else can I do? I'm not strong enough to carry him. Not with my left hand useless and my knees screaming. And Marcus Webb said for people still mobile, which means 4 people I might actually be able to help if I get there in time. The trail climbs steeper. Switchbacks cut into a ridge face, gaining elevation fast. My breathing's labored now, not from panic but from effort. The air's thinner at 5,500 feet and I'm pushing hard. My left hand's completely numb. Can't feel it at all. When I look at it, which I'm trying not to do, the gray-white discoloration has spread past my wrist, creeping up my forearm. The skin's texture is changing, hardening, developing ridges that look like bark grain. I'm turning into a tree. No, not thinking about that. Thinking about Maya instead. About how she wanted to see the ghost tree. About how she says fog looks like ghosts. About how Jennifer will have to explain to a 7-year-old that her father went into the forest and didn't come back. Just like Jennifer explained the divorce. Daddy lives in the mountains now. End of story. Except this time it'll be true. My handheld radio crackles. Male voice, not Marcus Webb. Younger. Panicked. "If anyone's out there, this is Josh Keller. We're with the Webb party." Marcus is. "He's gone into the lake. Sarah can't move at all. We need." I key the radio. "Josh, this is Ranger Hendricks. I'm at mile 9. I'm coming to you. What's your current status?" "Oh, thank God. Thank God. We're falling apart. Literally falling apart. Sarah's legs have grown together, like they've fused into one thing. And Marcus walked into the lake 2 hours ago. Just walked in and didn't come back up. We can see him down there. We can see all of them down there." "How many mobile in your party?" 3. Me, my girlfriend Emma, and Sarah's husband Tom. But Tom's his hands. His hands are white and he can't hold anything anymore. And Emma's coughing. She won't stop coughing and there's stuff coming out of her mouth. 3 mobile. Down from 4. Marcus walked into the lake. "Josh, listen carefully. Do not drink the lake water. Do not touch each other. Keep distance between you. I'm 2 hours out, maybe less. Can you hold on?" "Ranger, I don't think we should leave. I think we're supposed to stay here. The lake wants us. I know that sounds crazy, but I can feel it. Like it's calling us." Marcus felt it too. That's why he went in. He said it would make the pain stop. "Josh, that's the infection talking. You need to fight it. You need to." "My feet are roots," Josh says. His voice is calm now. Too calm. "I just looked down and my feet are roots. They're growing into the ground. I'm planted. We're all getting planted." The radio goes silent. "Josh? Josh, respond." Nothing. I run, or try to. My left leg stiff now, same as my arm. The knee joint won't flex properly. I'm limping, using the trekking pole like a crutch, dragging my left leg behind me. Each step sends pain shooting up my spine, but I keep moving because 3 people are at Cougar Lake and they're growing roots and they're being called into the water and I'm the only person who can help them. Except I can't help them. I can't even help myself. My left side's transforming, bark spreading across my skin, And in a few hours, maybe less, I'll be like the man with his hand fused to the fir tree, standing motionless while mushrooms sprout from my skin. But I keep climbing because that's what rangers do. We go in when everyone else is told to stay out. We help people even when helping them means dying with them. The trail crests the ridge at mile 10. From here, it's all downhill into the lake basin, losing elevation fast. I can see Cougar Lake through the thinning mist, dark water, maybe 2 acres, surrounded by mountain hemlock. The lake's surface is perfectly still. No wind, no ripples, just dark water reflecting gray sky. And there are people in the water. Not swimming, standing, submerged up to their chests, arms at their sides, faces blank. I count 6, no 7, 8. More than Marcus Webb's party. More than all 3 groups combined. These are the rangers Kelly mentioned. The ones who went in before me. They've been here for hours, maybe days, standing in the water while the transformation completes. I start down the trail toward the lake shore. My left leg drags behind me, completely useless now. The bark spread to my chest, creeping across my ribs. I can feel it hardening, restricting my breathing. Each breath is shallower than the last. 3 people on the shore, 2 sitting, 1 standing. The standing one sees me, waves with his right hand. His left hand is white, root-like, same as mine. I reach the shore. The standing man is mid-30s, athletic build, wearing a red North Face jacket. "You're the ranger," he says. "Josh told me you were coming." "Tom Keller, Sarah's husband." "Yeah." He looks at the 2 people sitting on the ground. One is a woman in her 30s, legs fused together into a single trunk-like appendage. The other is younger, female, mid-20s, coughing continuously. White spores puff from her mouth with each cough. Sarah can't walk. Emma's almost gone. And Josh is... He points behind me. I turn. Josh is 20 feet away, standing at the water's edge. His feet have grown into the ground, actual roots spreading from where his boots should be. He's swaying slightly, like wind's moving him even though there's no wind. "He's been like that for 20 minutes, Tom says. Says the lake's calling him. Says Marcus is down there waiting. Says it doesn't hurt once you go in." I look at the lake, at the people standing in the water. Their faces are peaceful. No pain, no fear, just blank acceptance as they slowly transform into something that's part human, part tree, part fungus. "Where are the other 2 from your party?" Ask. "Amanda and Chris. They went in this morning. They're..." Tom points at the lake. 2 figures standing in the shallows, water up to their necks. They can still breathe, for now, but they're not coming back out. My radio crackles. Kelly's voice, clearer than it's been in hours. "Unit 7, if you can hear this, the Forest Service is sealing the area. They're static, going to sterilize the entire zone. They're using more static. You need to get out now. They're burning it. Coal, they're burning everything within a 10-mile radius. You have maybe 2 hours before." The radio cuts out.
"Dies completely."
I shake it. Nothing. They're burning the forest. 10-mile radius. Cougar Lake is the center of the contamination. I'm at ground zero of whatever they're planning. Tom heard it too. "Burning," he says. "They're going to burn us. We need to move. Now, get everyone mobile and..." Sarah can't walk. Emma can barely breathe. Josh is rooted to the ground. Tom's voice is flat, emotionless. "And you look at yourself. You're transforming too. Your whole left side. How far do you think you'll get?" I look at my left arm. The bark's complete from fingertips to shoulder. My chest is half covered. I can feel it spreading across my back, hardening, restricting movement. My left leg is locked straight, solid wood from hip to ankle. "I'm getting you out," I say, still the ranger, still saying what I'm supposed to say. No, Sarah says from the ground. Her voice is weak but clear. You're not, because there's nothing to get out to. The whole forest is infected. The spores are in the air, in the water, in the soil. Everyone who's been here in the last 3 weeks, everyone, is transforming. The Forest Service knows it. That's why they're burning it. They're burning us to stop the spread. Then we go in the lake, Emma says between coughs. White spores puff from her mouth. Marcus said it stops the pain. We just walk in and...
No.
I don't know why I'm arguing. Don't know what I'm trying to save. But I'm still arguing. We don't give up. We. Cole. Tom's using my first name. Like Kelly did. Like people do when they're being gentle. When they're explaining something you don't want to hear. Your daughter. The one Kelly mentioned in the earlier transmission. How old? 7. You want her to know you fought? Or that you accepted what was coming? I don't have an answer. Josh starts walking into the lake. Slow steps, roots pulling free from the ground with wet tearing sounds. He wades in up to his knees, his waist, his chest. He doesn't stop, doesn't look back. The water closes over his head and I can see him underneath, still walking, descending into the dark water until he's just another standing figure among the others. It really doesn't hurt, Sarah says. I can feel it. The lake is not calling. It's offering peace, unity, becoming part of something bigger than... I have a daughter, I say. Her name is Maya. She's 7 years old and she thinks fog looks like ghosts and I haven't been a good father, but I've been trying, and if I walk into that lake then I'm giving up. I'm telling her that her dad gave up. You're telling her that her dad accepted what he couldn't change, Tom says. There's a difference. Emma stands up, walks toward the lake. She doesn't say anything, just walks. Tom watches her go. His wife Sarah watches her go. Nobody stops her. She wades in and the water closes over her head and she keeps walking down into the dark. My radio crackles one last time. Not Kelly. A different voice. Official. Male. Forest Service. All personnel advised that sterilization operation begins at 2100 hours. Incendiary deployment across sectors 7 through 12. All civilians within blast radius are static. No survivors expected. God forgive us. 2100 hours. 9 p.m. I check my watch. 8:47 p.m. 13 minutes. We don't have time to get out, Tom says. Even if we could walk, the fire's going to take everything. Sarah's looking at the lake. Tom, I want to go in with you. Please, I don't want to burn. Tom looks at his white root-like hands. And me, at the lake. Yeah, he says. Yeah, okay. He helps Sarah to her feet. Foot, singular appendage, whatever her fused legs have become, and they start toward the water together. Sarah leans against him. They wade in slowly. The water reaches their waists, their chests. Sarah says something I can't hear. Tom kisses her forehead. They keep walking. The water closes over their heads. I'm alone on the shore. 9 people walked into Cougar Lake. 9 people are standing underwater, peaceful, transforming into something that's part of the forest's new ecosystem. The mushrooms, the spores, the trees, it's all one organism now. One network. And everyone who's been infected becomes part of it. I look at my left arm, at the bark covering half my body, at my useless leg. I think about Maya, about whether she'll remember me, about whether Jennifer will tell her that Daddy loved her, that Daddy tried, that Daddy fought until there was nothing left to fight with. The lake is 10 feet away. The water's dark and still and peaceful. All I have to do is walk in, wade out until the water's over my head. Join the others. Stop fighting. Let the transformation finish. Become part of the forest I've spent 3 years protecting. Or I can stay here on the shore and burn. The fire's coming. 13 minutes, now 12. The Forest Service is going to sterilize everything. Incendiary deployment. Everything within the blast radius. The lake's calling. Not literally, but I can feel what Sarah meant. The pull of it. The promise of unity, of peace, of pain ending. Marcus walked in 2 hours ago. Josh walked in 20 minutes ago. Emma, Tom, Sarah, all of them chose the water over the fire. I start walking toward the lake. My right leg moves. My left leg drags. The bark spreading faster now, racing across my stomach, my back, my neck. Soon it'll reach my face, my mouth, my lungs, and then I'll be like the man with his hand fused to the tree, standing motionless while the transformation completes. But in the water, it's peaceful. Marcus said so. Josh said so. They're all down there, standing together, becoming part of something bigger. I'm at the water's edge. My watch reads 8:53, 8 minutes until the fire. I look back at the forest one last time, at the trees covered in pale mushrooms, at the mist settling over everything, at the trail I hiked to get here, following my ranger training, trying to save people who couldn't be saved. I think about Maya one more time. Then I hear it. A helicopter, distant but getting closer, the sound cutting through the silence of the lake basin. I turn. The helicopter's coming from the south, flying low under the cloud cover. Not Forest Service. The markings are wrong. Military. And it's searching. Spotlight sweeping the forest below. They're looking for survivors. I wave my right arm. My left won't move anymore, and the spotlight catches me. The helicopter banks, circles back, hovers over the lake. A voice over loudspeaker. Individual on shore. Stay where you are. We are deploying rescue personnel. But the water's right here. The peace is right here. All I have to do is... No. Maya. I stay on the shore. The barks reached my chest, my throat. I can barely breathe, but I stay. The helicopter descends. A rope drops. 2 figures in hazmat suits rappel down. They hit the ground, run toward me. One of them is shouting something I can't hear over the rotor wash. They grab me, one on each side. They're dragging me away from the lake, toward the rope. I try to help, but my left side is completely rigid now. Dead weight. They clip a harness around me, signal to the helicopter. The winch activates. I'm rising. Away from the lake. Away from the people standing in the water. Away from the peace they found. The last thing I see before they pull me into the helicopter is the forest below, and the fire starting on the eastern ridge. Orange flames spreading through the trees, racing toward Cougar Lake, racing toward the people in the water who chose peace over burning. The helicopter climbs, banks east, and I watch Cougar Lake disappear into smoke and flame. They cut the bark off me at the military field hospital. Actually cut it. Surgical saws, scalpels, something that looks like a wood chisel. I'm strapped to a table, restrained across chest and legs because apparently people in my condition, stage 3 arboreal fusion they call it, sometimes try to escape back to contamination zones. The mycologist on staff, Dr. Shaw, same Dr. Shaw who did the fungal survey 2 years ago, except now she's wearing a military uniform and a face shield, explains this while 2 medics saw through the bark covering my left arm. The fungus creates a neural feedback loop, she says. Her voice is clinical, detached. Infected individuals experience the contamination zone as sanctuary. Safety. Home. Your brain's been rewired to seek out the highest spore concentration. The saw hits living tissue. I feel it. Not pain exactly, the nerves in my left arm barely work. But pressure. Wrong pressure. Like they're cutting into someone else's body while I watch. How many survived? Ask. My voice comes out rough. The bark reached my throat before the helicopter extraction. They had to intubate me during flight. From the timberline loop? Dr. Shaw doesn't look up from her work. You're the only one. 47 hikers were on connected trail systems when the outbreak accelerated. You're the only extraction. 47 people. Marcus Webb's party of 6. The Portland couple. Derek Simmons from Eugene. The 3 rangers Kelly mentioned. 47 people walking in the Cascade forests while the spores spread. 47 people who chose water or waited too long and burned. The sterilization was successful, Dr. Shaw continues. She's using the chisel now, prying bark away from muscle. Incendiary deployment covered 84 square miles. Ground temperature exceeded 1,000 degrees Celsius. Nothing organic survived. Nothing organic survived. She means the people in Cougar Lake. The ones who walked in seeking peace. They burned underwater while I flew away in a helicopter. My daughter, I say. Maya. She's in Portland. Has anyone? Portland's under quarantine. The spores spread further than initial projections. We're seeing confirmed cases as far south as Eugene, as far north as Seattle. Dr. Shaw finally looks at me. Your daughter's been tested. She's clear. No exposure. Your ex-wife refused to let her visit you last weekend. That probably saved her life. Jennifer canceled because Maya had a cough. Jennifer always cancels. And this time, her canceling meant Maya's not standing in a lake somewhere, transforming into something part human and part forest. The medics finish removing bark from my arm. What's underneath is wrong. The muscles atrophied, gray-white, laced with white fungal threads that pulse slightly when exposed to air. My left hand is no longer recognizable as a hand. The fingers have elongated, fused together, formed into something like a multi-branched root structure. We can't save the arm, Dr. Shaw says. She's not asking, just informing. The fungal infiltration is too extensive. Neural pathways are compromised. Vascular system has been partially replaced with mycological analogs. We're scheduling amputation for tomorrow morning. I look at what used to be my left arm, at the white threads pulsing in muscle tissue, at my hand that's now a root. 27 years I've had this arm. Used it to climb trees as a kid, to throw a baseball in high school, to hold Maya when she was born, to grip a steering wheel, to help hikers with their packs, to touch my ex-wife's face before everything fell apart. Do it, I say. They will me to a recovery room. Private, isolated, negative pressure ventilation. The door has a biohazard warning. Through the small window, I can see soldiers in hazmat suits stationed outside. I'm not a patient. I'm a containment risk. The TV in the corner is on. News coverage. Aerial footage of the Cascade forests burning. The anchors are calling it the worst wildfire in Oregon history, which is technically true and technically a lie. It's not a wildfire. It's an extermination. The military burning 84 square miles of contaminated forest to stop a fungal outbreak that's already spread to 3 states. The death toll ticker in the corner reads, 2,847 confirmed, 6,423 missing. Marcus Webb is part of that number. His wife in Seattle is probably watching this coverage, wondering if her husband made it out. He didn't. He walked into Cougar Lake and stood there while the forest transformed him and then burned around him. Derek Simmons, the solo hiker who said to tell his parents he made it to mile 8. His parents in Eugene are watching this coverage. They don't know their son got further than he thought. They don't know he sat on a boulder and felt his feet turn to roots and watched me walk away. Josh, Emma, Tom, Sarah, Amanda, and Chris, the 3 rangers whose names I never learned. 47 people on the Timberline Loop. 2,847 confirmed dead. 6,423 missing. My radio's on the table beside my bed. Recovered from the helicopter, bagged and tagged as evidence. The screen's cracked, but it still works. Kelly tried to reach me 17 times during my extraction. I pick it up with my right hand, my only hand now, and key the transmit button. Base, this is Unit 7. I'm out. I made it out. Static. Then Kelly's voice, breaking. Cole. Oh my God, Cole. We saw the extraction footage. We thought the medic said you were stage 3. Nobody survived stage 3. How many Rangers went in total? Silence. Then 8, including you. 3 from our station, 5 from adjacent districts. You're the only one who came out. 8 Rangers. All of us following protocol, going in to help civilians, bringing our knowledge of the trails and our first aid kits and our radios. 7 of them are part of the confirmed dead now, standing in lakes or fused to trees or just lying on trails while the fire swept over them. Kelly, the hikers, their families. Someone needs to. The Forest Service is handling notifications. Military's locked down all information from the contamination zone. We're not supposed to talk about what we saw, what we heard. There's Cole. There's talk about criminal charges if we disclose anything about the outbreak origins. The outbreak origins. The fungus that wasn't natural that started 3 weeks ago, that the Forest Service knew about and kept the trails open anyway. They let people hike into an active contamination zone. Let Marcus Webb buy a permit for the Timberline Loop 4 days ago when they already knew the spores were spreading. They knew, I say. The Forest Service knew and they kept the trails open. I can't talk about that. The military liaison said, Cole, they're listening to all communications. They're monitoring everything. I'm not supposed to be talking to you at all. Put me through to whoever's in charge. I want to talk to. There's no one to talk to. The chain of command's been federalized. The Forest Service, the Park Service, all of it, we're under military authority now. They're calling it a national security crisis. Kelly's voice drops to a whisper. Cole, people are saying the fungus was an experiment, that it escaped from a Forest Service research station, that they were trying to develop some kind of, I don't know, reforestation accelerator or carbon sequestration organism. And it mutated, started targeting humans, started turning us into trees. An experiment, not a natural outbreak, not something that evolved in the forest ecosystem. An experiment that the Forest Service was running and lost control of and tried to cover up by keeping trails open, by not warning hikers, by letting people walk into contamination zones while they figured out how to contain it. Marcus Webb walked into Cougar Lake because the Forest Service let him buy a permit. Derek Simmons felt his feet turn to roots because the Forest Service kept the trail open. 47 people died on the Timberline Loop because someone decided civilian casualties were acceptable risks during a containment operation. Kelly, I need you to document everything you remember. Transmissions, timeline, when you first heard about contamination. Write it down and hide it somewhere the military won't find it. Cole, they'll arrest me. They already failed 47 people. They failed 8 Rangers. They failed everyone who trusted them to keep the forest safe. I'm gripping the radio so hard my right hand is shaking. Someone needs to make sure the families know the truth. Silence. Then, I'll do it. I'll document everything. But Cole, you need to focus on recovery. On getting home to Maya. I'm not going home to Maya. I'm not going anywhere near her until I'm cleared of contamination. The fungus rewires your brain, makes you seek out spore concentrations. You think I'm risking bringing this near my daughter? The medics said. The medics are cutting off my arm tomorrow because it's full of fungal threads. They can remove the arm, but they can't remove what's in my brain. The neural pathways Dr. Shaw mentioned. The feedback loop. I can feel it right now. The pull back to the forest. Back to the lake. It's quieter than it was, but it's still there. Like hunger. Like thirst. Like something missing that I need to find. Cole, take care of Maya if something happens. If the contamination comes back. If I tell her I fought. Tell her I didn't give up. Tell her. I don't finish. Can't finish. Because what am I supposed to say? Tell her daddy loved her? She knows that. Tell her daddy tried to be better? She knows that too. Tell her daddy saved people? I didn't save anyone. 47 people dead. I walked past Derek Simmons and left him sitting on a boulder. I reached Marcus Webb's party too late to help. I'm not a hero. I'm just a ranger who touched a mushroom at a gate and got infected and got lucky enough to be extracted before the fire. The amputation's scheduled for 0600. 6 a.m. 5 hours from now. They're taking my left arm from shoulder down, Dr. Shaw said. Complete removal. Aggressive margin. Then 6 months of monitoring to ensure no fungal recurrence. 6 months in military quarantine while they test my blood and scan my brain and make sure I'm not going to transform into something that needs to be burned. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see Cougar Lake. The dark water. The people standing underneath, peaceful, becoming part of something bigger. Josh walking in. Emma walking in. Tom and Sarah together. Marcus already there, waiting. All of them choosing water over fire. I made a different choice. I stayed on the shore. I waved at the helicopter. I chose Maya over peace. But the pull's still there. Even now, in this sealed room with negative pressure ventilation and armed guards outside. The pull back to the forest. Back to the contamination zone. It's like Dr. Shaw said, a neural feedback loop. My brain's been rewired to seek the highest spore concentration. And right now, my brain is telling me that I made the wrong choice. That I should have walked into the lake. That peace was right there and I rejected it. At 0300 3 a.m., a different doctor comes in. Not Dr. Shaw. This one's older, male, military uniform with colonel's insignia. He's not wearing a hazmat suit, just a surgical mask. Ranger Hendricks. I'm Colonel Morrison, CDC liaison for the containment operation. I need to ask you some questions about your time in the contamination zone. I already gave a full report to Dr. Shaw. Dr. Shaw documented your physical condition. I need information about the infected individual's behavior, specifically why they entered the water. He sits down, pulls out a tablet. You observed 9 individuals entering Cougar Lake voluntarily. Can you describe their mental state? I look at him, at his military uniform and his CDC liaison title and his tablet ready to document everything I say. They were at peace. The fungus, it makes the water feel like sanctuary, like home. Did they express suicidal ideation, depression, any indication they were choosing death? They were choosing not to burn. The sterilization was coming. They knew it. They chose water over fire. So you're saying they were rational, making informed decisions? I see where this is going. The military needs to know if infected individuals are competent to make choices. If someone who's been exposed can legally choose termination over quarantine. If the government can justify not extracting people from contamination zones because they're choosing to stay. They were infected, I say. The fungus affects brain chemistry, neural pathways. They weren't making free choices. They were being compelled by the organism. But you resisted. You stayed on the shore. You chose extraction. I have a daughter. I was thinking about her. That's the only reason I stayed. Colonel Morrison makes a note on his tablet. So individuals with strong familial bonds show greater resistance to fungal compulsion. That's valuable data. He looks up. Did any of the infected individuals mention family, children, spouses? Tom and Sarah were married. They went in together. Josh talked about his girlfriend Emma. She went in before him. I'm gripping the bed rail with my right hand. They all had people. They all had reasons to stay out. The fungus was just stronger. Except for you. Except for me. Because I got lucky. Because a helicopter showed up 3 minutes before the fire. Because I stopped. Because why? Why did I resist when everyone else didn't? What made me different? Nothing. Nothing made me different. I was just lucky. The Forest Service knew. I say. About the outbreak. They kept the trails open, let people buy permits, let hikers walk into an active contamination zone. That's not relevant to this interview. It's relevant to the 47 people who died. It's relevant to Marcus Webb's wife in Seattle. It's relevant to Derek Simmons' parents in Eugene. Ranger Hendricks, I understand you're angry, but the containment operation required difficult decisions. Closing the trails prematurely would have caused panic. Widespread evacuation attempts, potentially greater spore dispersal. So you let people die to prevent panic. We made choices that saved millions. The Cascade contamination zone was 140 square miles when we initiated sterilization. Models predicted it would reach 2,000 square miles within 3 weeks. Portland's metro area, Seattle, the entire I-5 corridor. We contained it at 84 square miles. That's a success. 84 square miles of forest burned to ash. 2,847 people confirmed dead. 6,423 missing. Marcus Webb standing in Cougar Lake while fire swept over him. That's a success. Get out, I say. I have more questions. Get out. Colonel Morrison stands, pockets his tablet. The amputations in 3 hours. Dr. Shaw will prep you at 05:30. After surgery, you'll be transferred to long-term quarantine at Fort Detrick. Estimated duration 6 months. You'll have limited communication privileges. No civilian contact except approved family members. He pauses at the door. Your daughter Maya, she's been asking about you. Your ex-wife wants to know when she can visit. Never. She can't visit. I'm contaminated. You'll be clear after amputation and observation period. You don't know that. Dr. Shaw said the neural pathways are permanent. The feedback loop. I can still feel it. The pull back to the forest. I'm not exposing Maya to that risk. That's not your decision. Legal custody is shared. Your ex-wife has the right. My ex-wife has the right to keep her daughter safe. That's what I'm doing. Keeping Maya safe. Now get out. He leaves. The door seals behind him. Biohazard lock engages. I sit in the dark room and feel the pull. Back to the forest. Back to the lake. Back to the peace that Marcus and Josh and Emma found. My left arm, what's left of it, bark-covered and wrong, throbs with phantom sensation. Not pain. Something else. Like the arms trying to grow. Trying to spread. Trying to reach back toward Cougar Lake even though the lake's gone now. Burned to nothing. Every living thing in it sterilized to ash. At 05:30, they come to prep me for surgery. 2 nurses in full hazmat gear. They start and 4 push sedatives. The room blurs. Dr. Shaw appears, face shield reflecting the overhead lights. You're going to count backward from 10, she says. When you wake up, the arm will be gone. The contamination risk will be significantly reduced. Significantly reduced. Not eliminated. Reduced. The people in the lake, I say. The sedatives are making my voice slurred. When the fire came, did they feel it? Dr. Shaw's quiet for a moment. Then, the temperature differential was instantaneous. Water flash-boiled. They wouldn't have felt anything. That's a lie. She's lying to make me feel better. But I let her lie because the truth is worse. The truth is they felt everything. Felt the water temperature rising. Felt their skin boiling. Felt the agony of burning alive underwater while their transformed bodies tried to root deeper. Tried to escape into lake bed sediment that was also burning. Marcus Webb felt it. Josh felt it. Derek Simmons felt it alone on his boulder. All 47 people felt it. And I flew away in a helicopter. Count backward from 10, Dr. Shaw says. 10, 9, 8. I wake up and my left arm is gone. Not gone. Missing. There's a difference. Gone implies it never existed. Missing means it existed and now there's an absence where it used to be. The absence is wrong. My brain keeps sending signals to fingers that aren't there. My shoulder tries to move muscle that's been cut away. Phantom limb syndrome, the nurse explains. Completely normal after amputation. It'll fade over time. It doesn't fade. 3 days post-surgery and I can still feel my left hand. Can feel the fingers trying to flex, trying to spread roots, trying to dig into soil. The phantom sensation is worse at night. Like the missing arm is trying to grow back. Like the fungus is trying to regenerate what the surgeons removed. Dr. Shaw runs tests. Blood work, neural imaging, spore counts. All negative. No active contamination. No fungal material detected. The amputation was successful. The margins were clean. I'm clear. But I can still feel the pull. It's psychological, Dr. Shaw explains. Post-traumatic stress. Your brain experienced the fungal compulsion. That memory persists even after physical contamination is eliminated. We can provide therapy, medication, coping strategies. I'm not crazy. I know what I feel. The pull back to the forest isn't memory. It's present. It's now. It's a hunger I can't satisfy because the forest is gone, burned, sterilized. And that makes it worse. Like losing someone you love and knowing you can never see them again. The grief is permanent. They transfer me to Fort Detrick on day 7. Military medical facility in Maryland. Isolation ward for contamination cases. My room has a window, wire-reinforced glass, can't be opened, and I can see trees outside. Deciduous trees, not conifers. Oak and maple. Nothing like the Cascades. But they're trees and I stare at them for hours because the pull is screaming at me to get closer, to touch bark, to smell soil, to find the spores that I know aren't there but my rewired brain insists must be there. Jennifer calls on day 10. They patch the call through to a tablet they give me for approved communications. Maya's face appears on screen. She's wearing her purple jacket, the one she loves. She's in Jennifer's apartment in Portland. Behind her I can see the kitchen, the living room, normal civilian life continuing while I'm locked in an isolation ward on the opposite side of the country. Daddy! Maya's smiling. She doesn't understand. Jennifer hasn't told her. When are you coming home? Mom says you're working, but you've been working for a long time. I don't know what to say. My left arm, the missing one, throbs with phantom pain. Or not pain, phantom growth, like it's trying to sprout from my shoulder. I'm working on something important, Maya Bear. Something that's taking longer than expected. Are you in the forest? Can you see the ghost tree from where you are? The ghost tree, where I found 2 people sitting with mushrooms sprouting from their skin, where they breathed slowly, synchronized, while the transformation completed. The ghost tree that's ash now, sterilized, gone. No, baby, I can't see it. I'm far away from the forest right now. When you come back, can we go see it? You promised. I did promise. Last time she was supposed to visit before Jennifer canceled. I said we'd hike to the ghost tree together, just the 2 of us, and I'd teach her about the forest. About the Douglas firs and western hemlocks. About how forests are living systems, interconnected, every tree communicating through root networks and fungal mycelia. That's not true anymore. The forest I knew is dead. The trees are ash. The fungal networks are sterilized. And the new thing that was growing there, the pale mushrooms, the spores, the organism that turned humans into trees, that's dead too. Burned away. Eliminated. We'll see, I say, which is what parents say when the answer is no, but they don't want to say no. How's school? Maya talks about her 2nd grade class, about her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, about a boy named Tyler who keeps pulling her hair. Normal 7-year-old problems. While she talks, I watch her face on the screen and try to memorize it because I don't know when I'll see it again in person. Maybe never. Maybe the contamination in my brain is permanent and I'll spend the rest of my life in isolation. feeling the pull back to a forest that doesn't exist anymore. Jennifer appears in the screen, gently moving Maya aside. Cole, we need to talk. Maya, go play in your room for a minute. Maya protests, but Jennifer's firm. The door closes. Jennifer sits down where Maya was, and her face is tight with controlled anger. They told me what happened. The Forest Service. They sent someone to explain. About the outbreak. She stops. Breathes. They said you were exposed. That you almost died. That they had to amputate your arm. I'm fine. The contamination's cleared. I just need observation time and then... And then what, Cole? You come back to Portland and try to be a part-time father again? You think I'm letting Maya near you after this? I'm not contagious. The tests are negative. You walked into a contamination zone. You got infected with something that turns people into trees. They burned 84 square miles of forest to stop it. And you're telling me you're fine? Jennifer's voice cracks. I knew this would happen. I knew your job would get you killed eventually. That's why I left. Because I couldn't watch you choose the forest over us. Over Maya. I didn't choose the forest. I went in to save people. And it almost killed you. Again. Just like that rock slide 3 years ago that gave you the limp. Just like the wildfire in 21 that you fought for 60 hours straight and came home with second-degree burns. You keep almost dying and expecting us to just wait for you to finally actually die. She's right. I know she's right, but I'm still a ranger. Still the person who goes in when everyone else is told to stay out. That's who I am. That's all I am. I'm limiting visitation, Jennifer says. Maya can do video calls once a week. Supervised. When the military clears you, if they clear you, we'll reassess. But Cole. She leans closer to the screen. If you're still feeling the pull, if you're still contaminated in any way, you stay away from her. You understand? You stay away. The call ends. I sit in my isolation room and feel my missing arm trying to grow roots. The observation period is supposed to be 6 months. They extend it to 9, then 12. Every test comes back negative, no spores, no fungal material, no active contamination, but the neural imaging shows abnormalities. Dr. Shaw explains it using technical terms. Aberrant pathway formation, atypical synaptic activity, mycologically influenced cortical restructuring. What she means is my brain's been permanently changed. The fungus rewired something fundamental, and even though the fungus is gone, the wiring remains. You'll likely experience the compulsion for the rest of your life, she says during month 14. We're in the consultation room, separated by a clear barrier even though I'm supposedly non-contagious. The pullback to forested areas, specifically regions with similar environmental conditions to the contamination zone. Pacific Northwest climate. High moisture. Conifer ecosystems. So I can never go home. Home to Portland? That's different climate. Lower elevation, urban environment. The compulsion should be manageable there. She pauses. Home to the Cascades, to your ranger station? No. You can never go back there. The compulsion would be overwhelming. I'm never going back to the forest. Never hiking the trails I know by heart. Never seeing Cougar Lake except the lake's gone anyway, sterilized. Never walking past the ghost tree. Never doing the job I spent 3 years training for, the job that defined who I was. What about other forests? Different states, different ecosystems? We don't know. The compulsion might generalize to any forested environment, or it might be specific to Pacific Northwest conditions. We'd need to test gradually, controlled exposure, monitoring for symptom escalation. Dr. Shaw looks at her notes. Ranger Hendricks, the CDC is recommending you not work in forestry capacity in any region. The risk of compulsion-driven behavior is too high. You'd be a danger to yourself and others. No forestry work. No ranger position. 3 years of experience, countless certifications, every trail map memorized. All of it useless because my brain's been rewired by a fungal organism that the government burned away. They discharge me at month 16. Clear of active contamination, high risk of compulsion relapse, requires ongoing monitoring. I'm given a medical discharge from the Park Service with full disability. An apartment in suburban Maryland near Fort Detrick for continued observation. Monthly check-ins with Dr. Shaw. A prescription for anti-anxiety medication that doesn't touch the pull I feel toward forests. Maya video calls once a week. She's 8 now, 3rd grade. She doesn't ask about the ghost tree anymore. Doesn't ask when I'm coming home. Jennifer's been preparing her. Daddy lives far away now. Daddy has a medical condition. Daddy loves you, but he can't visit very often. End of story. I get a job at a hardware store, Bethesda Hardware on Rockville Pike. It's indoor work, climate controlled, no forests anywhere nearby. I help customers pick out screws and teach them how to use power drills and mix paint colors. The manager hired me because I'm a veteran, military medical discharge qualifies, and because I can lift heavy things with one arm better than most people can with two. The phantom limb sensation never stops. My missing left arm throbs constantly. Not pain, growth, like roots trying to push through skin that isn't there anymore. At night, I wake up feeling my left hand digging into the mattress, fingers spreading through fabric toward the floor beneath, searching for soil that my amputated arm will never reach. I don't date, don't have friends, don't do anything except work and attend my monthly appointments at Fort Detrick and video call with Maya once a week. This is my life now. This is what I get for touching a mushroom at a gate, for walking into a contamination zone, for staying on the shore when everyone else chose the piece of the water. I saved no one. Marcus Webb died. Derek Simmons died. Josh, Emma, Tom, Sarah, Amanda, Chris, all dead. 47 people on the Timberline Loop, burned. 2,847 confirmed dead total. 8 rangers went in. 7 didn't come out. I came out. And I spend every day wishing I'd walked into Cougar Lake with the others. Month 22 of observation. Maya video calls on a Tuesday instead of the usual Sunday. Her face on the screen looks older. She's 9 now, 4th grade, growing up without me there. Dad, I need to tell you something. Mom says I should wait, but I want to tell you. She's nervous, fidgeting with something off-screen. I'm going to have a brother. Mom's pregnant. She's been dating someone. His name is Greg and he's really nice and he wants to meet you, but Mom says no. Jennifer's having a baby with someone named Greg. Someone who's there, present, not locked in a Maryland apartment feeling phantom roots grow from an amputated arm. Someone who can be a father without the Forest Service and the CDC monitoring his every move. That's great, Maya Bear. I'm happy for you. I'm not happy.
I'm devastated.
But that's what you say. That's what good fathers say when their daughters tell them about the new family being built without them. You can visit when the baby comes, right? Mom says maybe. She says maybe you're better now. I'm not better. I will never be better. The compulsion's gotten worse over the past 6 months. I can feel it every time I see trees through my apartment window. Every time I walk past Rock Creek Park on my way to work. The pull is constant, overwhelming, a hunger that can't be satisfied because the thing I'm hungry for doesn't exist anymore. The Cascade forests are gone. Cougar Lake is gone. The network of pale mushrooms and spores and transformed humans. All of it burned away. But my brain doesn't understand that. My rewired neurons keep screaming at me to go back, to find the spores, to breathe them in, to become part of the network again. Dr. Shaw increased my medication 3 times. It doesn't help. Nothing helps. Maybe, I tell Maya, we'll see. We'll see. The phrase I use when the answer is no. When I know I'm never going to be part of her life the way a father should be. When I know that Greg, whoever he is, will be more of a father to her baby brother than I ever was to her. The call ends. I sit in my apartment and look at the trees outside my window. Maples mostly, some oaks. Deciduous trees that lose their leaves in winter and grow them back in spring. Normal trees, not Douglas firs, not western hemlocks, not the conifers of the Cascades. But they're trees, and I want to touch them, want to press my remaining hand against their bark, want to breathe deeply and smell for spores that I know aren't there. The compulsion is winning. Dr. Shaw knows it too. At my month 23 appointment, she has a different look on her face. Not clinical, concerned. Your neural imaging shows progression, she says. She's behind the barrier again. Always behind the barrier even though I'm supposedly clear. The aberrant pathways are strengthening, forming new connections. It's like the fungus left behind a template and your brain is trying to complete it. What does that mean? It means the compulsion will continue intensifying. You're in the early stages of what we're calling secondary compulsion syndrome. Physical contamination eliminated, but neurological changes progress anyway. We've documented 47 cases in survivors from other outbreak zones. None of them have, she stops. None of them have what? Remained compliant with treatment. The compulsion eventually overrides rational decision-making. They seek out forested areas. They expose themselves deliberately to any fungal growth they can find. She looks at her notes. 3 patients walked into controlled burns, active forest fires. They walked straight in because their rewired brains told them that's where the spores would be strongest. 3 people walked into fire because their brains were screaming at them to find the network, to rejoin the organism, to become part of the forest again. I'm going to be one of them. How long? Ask. Until crisis point? We estimate 12 to 18 months. Maybe sooner if you don't maintain treatment compliance. Maybe longer if we can find an intervention that actually works. We're researching neural suppressants, targeted pathway disruption, experimental. 12 to 18 months until I walk into a forest and don't come out. Dr. Shaw's quiet. Then, yes. I leave Fort Detrick and drive to Rock Creek Park. It's a violation of my monitoring agreement. I'm supposed to avoid forested areas, but I don't care. The pull is too strong. I park at the trailhead and walk into the trees. It's not the Cascades. The trees are wrong, the elevation's wrong, the climate's wrong. But it's forest. It's trees and soil and the smell of decomposition and growing things. My missing left arm throbs with phantom sensation. Roots trying to push through the empty space where my arm used to be, reaching for the soil beneath my feet. I find a fallen log covered in mushrooms. Not the pale ones from Cougar Lake. These are normal mushrooms, turkey tail and oyster and species I don't know the names of. But they're fungi, growing on dead wood, part of the forest's decomposition cycle. And when I kneel beside them, press my remaining hand against the log, I feel something. Not the network, not the organism from the contamination zone. Just normal forest ecosystem doing what forests do. It's not enough. It will never be enough, because the thing my rewired brain is searching for doesn't exist anymore. The Forest Service burned it. The military sterilized 84 square miles. Everything I'm compelled to seek has been eliminated from existence. I'm hardwired to love something that's dead. Someone's walking up the trail toward me. Park police, probably, coming to arrest me for violating my monitoring agreement. But it's not police. It's Dr. Shaw. She's wearing civilian clothes, no lab coat, no hazmat gear. Just a jacket and jeans. You set off the GPS alert on your monitoring bracelet, she says. I came instead of sending security. I look at my wrist. The bracelet they made me wear tracks my location, monitors my heart rate, sends alerts when I enter prohibited zones. I forgot I was wearing it. Are you going to report me? I should. Protocol says immediate quarantine for non-compliant patients. She sits down on the log next to me, not close, maintaining distance. But I'm not going to, because you're right. The compulsion's too strong. Fighting it isn't working, and I don't have a treatment that actually helps. Then what am I supposed to do? Wait 12 to 18 months until I walk into a fire? Or we try something different? Dr. Shaw looks at the mushrooms on the log. The outbreak started because the Forest Service was experimenting with fungal organisms, trying to accelerate reforestation. The experiment went wrong, but the base science was sound. Fungi and trees have symbiotic relationships. They communicate through mycorrhizal networks. They help each other survive. I know how forests work. Then you know that what happened to you, the neural changes, they're not entirely pathological. They're a form of symbiosis. Your brain adapted to communicate with the organism, to become part of the network. That adaptation is permanent. Fighting it is making you sick. So what? I should embrace it? Become the mushroom man? I'm saying maybe we stop treating the compulsion as a disease and start treating it as a permanent condition that needs management. Like diabetes, like chronic pain. You can't cure it, but you can learn to live with it. By doing what? Living in a forest? Exposing myself to fungal spores? That's not living, that's. By finding controlled exposure, measured contact with forest ecosystems, enough to satisfy the compulsion without triggering full relapse. Dr. Shaw hands me a folder. There's a research station in Montana, forest ecology study site, controlled environment, monitored conditions. They need a grounds manager, someone with forestry experience, someone who understands the risks and can work under medical supervision. I open the folder. Job posting, Montana Forest Research Collective. Position, grounds and trail manager. Required qualifications, forestry experience, physical fitness, comfort with isolated work environments. Preferred qualifications, mycological knowledge, crisis management experience, medical clearance for contamination survivors. They know what I am? They know you're a survivor from the Cascade outbreak. They know you have permanent neurological changes. They're willing to work with the CDC to provide monitored forest exposure as part of an experimental treatment protocol. Dr. Shaw stands up. It's not a cure. It's not even really treatment. It's just trying something different. Because what we're doing now isn't working. Montana, 2,000 miles from the Cascades. Different ecosystem, different climate, but still forest, still trees and soil and fungi, still the environment my rewired brain is screaming for. What about Maya, my daughter? Montana's closer to Portland than Maryland is. Direct flight, 3 hours. Dr. Shaw starts walking back toward the parking lot. Think about it. You have until your next appointment. She leaves me sitting on the log, holding the folder, feeling my phantom left arm trying to grow roots into the dead wood beneath me. I don't think about it. I take the job. Month 25. I'm living in a cabin at the Montana Forest Research Collective. 1,200 acres of mixed conifer forest. Lodgepole pine, Douglas fir, some Engelmann spruce at higher elevations. It's not the Cascades, but it's close enough that my brain recognizes it. Close enough that the pull has quieted from a scream to a constant whisper. I manage trails, clear deadfall, mark hazards, maintain research plots. It's solitary work. Most days I don't see anyone except during the evening check-in when I report my status to Dr. Shaw via video call. She monitors my vitals remotely through the upgraded bracelet they gave me. Tracks my location, my heart rate, my exposure levels to various environmental factors. The phantom limb sensation is worse here. Being surrounded by forest makes my missing arm throb constantly. I feel it trying to grow back, trying to sprout from my shoulder, trying to reach down and dig roots into the Montana soil. But I'm not walking into fires. I'm not seeking out contamination. I'm just existing, working, breathing forest air, pressing my remaining hand against tree bark and feeling something that's almost like the network but not quite. It's not enough, but it's better than the alternative. Maya visits during summer break. She's 10 now, 5th grade, getting tall. She brings her mom and Greg and the baby, a boy named Ethan, 6 months old. They stay in the visitor's lodge for 3 days. Jennifer won't let them come to my cabin, won't let Maya hike the trails with me alone. Greg has to be there too. Supervised visitation in a forest I'm managing. We walk to a research plot where scientists are studying fungal tree symbiosis. Maya asks questions about the mushrooms, about how they help trees grow, about whether any of them are like the ones from my accident. That's what Jennifer calls it. Dad's accident. Not outbreak. Not contamination. Accident. Some of them work the same way, I tell her. Mushrooms and trees, they're partners. They help each other. The mushroom gives the tree nutrients and the tree gives the mushroom sugars. Neither one can survive without the other. Like you in the forest, Maya says. Jennifer shoots me a look. Don't tell her. Don't explain the compulsion. Don't make her understand that her father's brain has been rewired to need forests the way normal people need food and water. Yeah, I say, like me and the forest. At night, after they've gone back to the visitor's lodge, I sit outside my cabin and feel my missing arm reaching toward the trees around me. The phantom roots spread through empty space, searching for soil, searching for the network that doesn't exist anymore. My brain is trying to complete something that can never be completed, trying to reconnect with an organism that was burned away 18 months ago. I'll feel this for the rest of my life, the pull, the hunger, the compulsion to seek something that's dead. And I'll manage it by living in forests, pressing my hand against bark, breathing spores that aren't the right spores, trying to satisfy a need that can never be fully met. This is what I get for staying on the shore, for choosing Maya over the piece of Cougar Lake, for waving at a helicopter instead of walking into dark water with Marcus and Josh and all the others who understood that peace was better than survival. They're dead, burned, gone, and I'm alive. I can't decide which of us made the better choice. Month 36, 3 years since the Cascade outbreak. The CDC publishes a report, official document heavily redacted, released to minimal press coverage. Key findings. The fungal organism was the result of Forest Service experimentation with genetically modified mycorrhizal fungi designed to accelerate carbon sequestration. The modification went wrong. The organism developed the ability to parasitize human neural tissue. Total casualties: 3,247 confirmed dead, 8,891 missing presumed dead. Contamination zone successfully sterilized. No active outbreak areas remain. The report doesn't mention the Forest Service kept trails open during early contamination. Doesn't mention they let people buy permits while knowing about the outbreak. Doesn't name any officials who made those decisions. Doesn't explain why it took 3 weeks from first detection to sterilization deployment. Kelly documented everything like I asked. Wrote down transmissions timeline when she first heard about contamination. She sent the documentation to Marcus Webb's wife in Seattle. Sent it to Derek Simmons' parents in Eugene. Sent it to the families of all 47 people who died on the Timberline Loop. Some of them are filing lawsuits, class action against the Forest Service and the CDC. Wrongful death, negligence, failure to warn, the government's fighting it, national security, classified information, necessary measures during containment operations. I'm not part of the lawsuit. The government gave me a medical discharge and disability payments and this job in Montana. They bought my silence without asking for it. And I took the deal because what else was I going to do? My brain's been rewired. I can't work normal jobs. Can't live in cities. Can't be away from forests without the compulsion driving me toward crisis. The Forest Service created the organism that infected me, and now I'm dependent on Forest Service land to manage the symptoms. They made me need them. At night I dream about Cougar Lake, about the water, about Marcus and Josh and Emma walking in slowly, peacefully, while I stood on the shore and waved at a helicopter. In the dreams I make a different choice. I walk in with them. The water's cold and dark and perfect. My feet touch lake bed and roots spread from my toes. My missing left arm grows back, sprouting from my shoulder, branching into the water. And I'm part of the network again, part of something bigger, connected to everyone who chose peace. Then I wake up in my Montana cabin with my phantom arm throbbing and no network to connect to because everything's gone, burned, sterilized. And I spend another day managing trails and pressing my hand against bark and trying to satisfy a hunger that will never be satisfied. Maya's 11 now, 6th grade. She video calls monthly. Sometimes she tells me about school. Sometimes she tells me about Ethan, who's walking now, talking. Sometimes she asks when I'm coming to visit Portland. I can't visit Portland. The city's too far from forests. The compulsion would be overwhelming. I'd end up in Forest Park or Powell Butte or somewhere trees grow, and I'd stay there until security dragged me out. Dr. Shaw's treatment protocol requires me to stay within monitored forest environments. Leaving would trigger relapse. Maybe you can come here again, I tell Maya. Next summer. You could stay longer this time. Maybe, she says, which is what people say when the answer is no. Jennifer's limiting contact. Maya's getting older, building her own life, and her father, who lives in a cabin in Montana and can't leave the forest, isn't part of that life. Greg's the father who's there, who takes her to school, who teaches her to ride a bike, who isn't locked into forest ecosystems by a neurological condition. This is what survival looks like. Living in a cabin, managing trails, video calls once a month, phantom limb pain that never stops, compulsion that never fades, dreaming about dark water and peace I rejected. Marcus Webb's wife reached out to me last year, email through the CDC monitoring system. She wanted to know what Marcus's last moments were like, whether he suffered, whether he made the choice to walk into Cougar Lake or if the fungus forced him. I told her he was at peace, that he chose the water, that he didn't suffer. All lies. I don't know if he suffered. Don't know if the fire hurt or if Dr. Shaw was telling the truth about instantaneous temperature differential. Don't know if Marcus's last thought was peace or agony or regret. I just know he's dead and I'm not. The Forest Service still operates throughout the Cascades, still maintains trails and ranger stations and permit systems. They built a memorial at the Timberline Loop trailhead, plaque listing names of everyone who died. Marcus Webb, Derek Simmons, Josh Keller, Emma Shaw, Tom and Sarah Martinez, Amanda Wright, Chris Donovan. 47 civilians, 8 rangers. I'm not listed because I survived, because I'm the success story, the one who made it out. I'll never see the memorial. Can't go back to the Cascades. The contamination there was too extensive. My brain would recognize it. The compulsion would spike. I'd start searching for the network, for the pale mushrooms, for the spores. And even though everything's been sterilized, even though nothing remains, my rewired neurons wouldn't understand that. They'd just keep screaming at me to find it, to reconnect, to become part of the forest again. So I stay in Montana, manage trails, press my hand against lodgepole pine bark, feel my phantom arm growing roots into empty air, dream about Cougar Lake and the peace I rejected. And I live, if you can call this living. Some nights the compulsion is so strong I walk into the forest and don't come back until morning. I spend hours sitting against trees, my remaining hand on bark, feeling for the network that isn't there. Dr. Shaw sees the GPS data from these episodes, knows I'm destabilizing, But she doesn't pull me from the Montana position because there's nowhere else for people like me to go. No other treatment that works. No cure for permanently rewired neural pathways. 47 survivors from the Cascade outbreak. All of us living in monitored forest environments. All of us managing compulsion that never fades. All of us wishing we'd made different choices when we had the chance.
I chose Maya.
Chose staying on the shore. Chose the helicopter. And I'll spend every remaining day not knowing if survival was worth it. Not knowing if the peace Marcus found underwater was better than the compulsion I feel on land. Not knowing if I saved my daughter from losing her father or just condemned myself to decades of being a father who can never truly be there. The phantom roots spread from my missing arm, reaching through empty space toward trees that will never be the right trees, searching for a network that will never exist again. And I sit in my Montana cabin and feel the pull and manage the hunger and call it survival. This is what I get for touching a mushroom at a gate. This is what I get for being a ranger. This is what I get for choosing to live.